And today we'll be talking about using DocHelp to convert your employee manual into a website. My name is Brad Keller. I'm a documentation product consultant here at Component One, and I'll be guiding you through the presentation and the training. This is a one-way call, so if you have any questions, you can feel free to post those questions in the questions box and go to meeting. And I'll either answer those as they come up or as they become relevant in the presentation and the training. So we've got a fairly simple overview of what we'll cover today. So we'll just do a quick general overview of DocHelp, show you a sample DocHelp workflow, just talk a little bit about, in general, how our customers use the software, establish a few basic rules for using DocHelp, and then I'll just demo all of the different aspects of what you need to do and how you need to set things up in order to publish your employee manual into a website. Okay, so first of all, what is DocHelp? DocHelp is a single source authoring and publishing tool that allows you to write new or use existing content and publish to a number of mobile, web-based, application-based, or print-based deliverables. And that's what it says on the website. Generally, what I tell customers is that it takes the stuff that you have. A lot of people have Word documents that are either spread throughout SharePoint libraries, or they're disparate documents that are spread across different people's machines, or maybe they're all in folders on the network. Or they have HTML files that are parts of old websites, or static web pages. So they have all this stuff. They have all this content. So what DocHelp does is it helps you to manage that and transform that into the stuff that you need. Dynamic, searchable, customizable web content, mobile outputs for devices, and PDFs and EPUBs if you need them. Basically, we try to empower you to deliver your content to whatever format your users are most interested in. So if they prefer to look on the intranet or on the company website for their content, if they prefer to do Google searches to find what they're looking for, then they have the dynamic, searchable, customizable web content that they can view. If they need to view the output on a device, such as a mobile phone or a tablet, if they're on the field and they need to get an answer to something, then we have a mobile output for that. And then if they prefer to either look at it on an e-reader with an EPUB, or if they prefer to have a PDF where they can look at it page by page, or even print it up and thumb through the pages and dog-ear different pages, or put Post-it notes on it. We offer that output so that you can create that for your users as well. So the general idea is that you can create all of these outputs, as many of these different outputs as you want, with the stuff that you already have, without fundamentally changing the content or really even touching the content. As we'll see in the first build, I'm just going to bring in a document, build it, and show what the website looks like, because that's the title of the webcast. And then from there, we'll just talk about some different features and customizations, different things that you can do to make your content more discoverable. Okay, so it's a very easy, straightforward workflow, and we're going to see that as soon as I get DocHelp open. Basically, what you do is you create a project, you add documents, you build your outputs. Once you take a look at your outputs and decide whether or not you want to customize them, that's an optional step. A lot of our customers just use the first three steps in this workflow. They deliver the outputs and get back to work. So it's simple and straightforward, and even the customizations don't require any kind of coding or kind of post-production work. Something where you build it, you take a look at it, and you decide whether or not you need all of the different things that I'm going to talk about today. So the results are outstanding. There's a quick turnaround time. Since the workflow is simple and straightforward, it's easy for one person to manage multiple projects. So you don't need one person to manage just the employee handbooks and one person to manage training materials for incoming employees. Generally speaking, it's one or two people that handle the policies and procedures content as far as DocHelp is concerned for entire companies, even really large companies. And your employees can search for whatever they need with the dynamic searchable content. And whatever you create can be deployed to the web, to your intranet, or it can be published directly to SharePoint, directly to a SharePoint document library. Okay, so publishing content with DocHelp really is easy. Just sort of a graphical representation of it. You've got the stuff that you have there on the left-hand side. Manage your content in DocHelp in the middle. As soon as you get your project where you want it to be, you select your target, you click Build, and you publish all the stuff that you need on the right-hand side. So you can have some, again, static web pages or Word documents, old employee manuals. Bring those into DocHelp, manage and customize as necessary, and then publish to your searchable web content, print manuals, and mobile outputs for devices. Okay, and then just some quick rules to live by before I jump into the demo. Share DocHelp with you. Everything that's in your source documents will be in your outputs. So we're going to see when I first bring in this employee manual, the sample manual that we have for this demonstration. There's some stuff that you're not going to want to have published into certain outputs. But since it's in the document, it's going to be in the first version of this that we publish. Now you can customize it, you can take different things out, and I'll show you how to do that. But at the outset, everything that's in your source documents is going to be in your outputs. And DocHelp automatically creates a table of contents for you based on heading styles. So it'll catalog the content for you. It'll set everything up for searching so that automatically so that you can search for whatever you're looking for. But as far as setting up the hierarchy for the table of contents, it follows the same rules that any ordinary Word document would follow. Heading 1 comes first, starts out the book. Heading 2 is your subtopics, your other topics in your chapters. Heading 3 is your subtopics of heading 2s, subtopics of heading 1s. Heading 4s are subtopics of heading 3s, so on and so forth down the hierarchy. So the document that we have for today's project is already set up like that. And we'll take a look at that as soon as we open up the document. But that's something to take a look at. I mean, if you already have a document that's set up so that it'll create a table of contents in Word, then it'll create a table of contents in DocHelp. You don't need to worry about it. If you have HTML files that already have H1, H2, H3 in the code, then that's already set up. You don't need to worry about that in DocHelp. DocHelp will be able to read it. And the final one is we'll definitely see this as well. Anything that you don't like, you can change. So that's what I said about the web content, is that it's dynamic, it's searchable, and it's customizable. So we'll see that we have a lot of different options, things that we can change, things that we can do once we get the output created. Okay, so this is the DocHelp interface itself. This is what we call the project editor. You'll be spending most of your time creating your project, doing any necessary customization, and building and publishing your outputs. Okay, so our task today is that we have an employee manual and a glossary that are sitting on a document library in SharePoint. What we want to do is we want to bring that content into DocHelp, create one cohesive site that we can deploy back to SharePoint, and one cohesive manual, as well as a mobile output that people can view on devices if they need to view the content on a device. We need to take all that content, put it all together, and then publish it to the outputs that we need. In order to do that, first thing that we need to do is start a new project. So I'm going to give this project a really creative name. And as I said, there are a lot of things that you can do to manage and customize your project, but I'll just use all the defaults for right now for the purposes of this demonstration. So what we'll be doing is we'll be building NetHelp, and NetHelp is our web-based output, and so that's the dynamic, searchable, customizable web content that we're going to be creating from the sample Word document that we have. I'm going to select that as my default, but as we're going to see, it's really easy to take, once you have your project set up, to just choose a different target, a different output that you want to build, and build that and deploy it wherever you need to deploy it. Okay, so I'm going to import existing files, confirm my settings, and finish. As soon as I do that, the document import wizard will open up. So I'll be importing my content from a document library on SharePoint, but as I said, you could also import from local sources if you have disparate documents that are spread across users' machines, or if you have a bunch of stuff that's in different folders on networks, you can grab that just using the local import, but since our documents are on SharePoint, grab them from there. Okay, so that's in the documents are in my employee manuals document library. I'm going to select both my handbook and my glossary. Okay, so my documents get added to my project here, and we can see the documents have this little hand underneath them, so they're being shared with a SharePoint library. If I have a combination, there's a question in the gallery of if I have a combination of documents that are stored locally and documents that are on SharePoint, would I be able to have both of those types of documents in my project? And that's true. All you would need to do is just click on this Add Existing Documents button and choose the local option, go back through the wizard that way. So those documents would be added in addition to the documents that we have here. Okay, and then actually we also have another question just as far as your content is concerned, whether or not you can bring in an existing RoboHelp project instead of using Word documents or HTML files, and you definitely can. All you need to do is just click this Convert button and choose whether you want to convert a RoboHelp HTML or a RoboHelp Office project. So just right from that start page, click Convert, and then you can choose the type of project that you need to convert. Okay, so just double-clicking this document and opening it up. You can see again, this is just a sort of a standard plain Jane Word document. So this is a standard employee handbook, employee manual. And again, we've got our heading 2s, which are subtopics of the heading 1s. So that's going to create my TOC for me. And then we've also got heading 3s. Which are subtopics of heading 2s, and we've got a few heading 4s in here, which are subtopics of heading 3s. So we've got a pretty standard document. And again, this is just saved in a Word format. We've got a Doc2Help toolbar that adds on as soon as you open up any documents in Doc2Help, so you can add topics to your project. You can apply standard heading styles to create the TOC, create links to other topics, create inline and drop-down text, tag keywords to add those to the index, apply conditions to include some text in certain outputs and leave it out of other outputs, insert variables, which are chunks of reusable content, and also insert expanding and collapsing sections. And we'll take a look at how you can use some of these features specifically in this project. Okay, but I just wanted to open up that document just to show you that this opens up natively in Word and to highlight the Doc2Help toolbar a little bit. We also had a question about the glossary. The glossary is a separate document. Is there a specific reason why the glossary is a separate document? And there actually is a specific reason the glossary is a second document. If I right-click on the glossary and I toggle this on so that it's a glossary document, so that it's flagged as a glossary document, then Doc2Help is going to treat that a special way. Okay, so if I just double-click this document to open it up, there are terms that I can define and these are automatically set up in the glossary. And there's a specific way that this is formatted. But the way Doc2Help works with this is that every time it sees one of these terms, it highlights it, creates a link for it, and when you click on the link, the definition pops up. So a lot of customers, the way that they use that with their employee handbooks is that they'll type acronyms that are specific to the company. So ASAP could mean as soon as possible. And then anytime that shows up in a topic, it's automatically highlighted, and when somebody clicks on it, what ASAP stands for pops up. Okay, so this is formatted specifically with a couple of Doc2Help styles. These styles are glossary heading and C1H pop-up topic text. But actually, if you're in any document on the Doc2Help toolbar, you can add a term to the glossary, and Doc2Help will format it for you automatically. Okay, so now this checks in the changes to the SharePoint library. And so if I just open this up in SharePoint, where I right-click here, and I select Open in Browser, if I was just a subject matter expert and I wanted to check this out, or if I just wanted to take a look at this document, all I would need is access to this document on SharePoint, and I could see the information that was added. I could review different versions of the document. So I could just open this up natively in Word from my SharePoint library. I wouldn't need to do anything else. So I wouldn't need to have Doc2Help installed on my computer, and I wouldn't need to have anything else special installed. I would just need to have access to that library on SharePoint, and I would just need to have Word installed on my computer. So now that we've set up this project, we've tagged the glossary document, going to build the output, and actually, while this output is building, there was a question that I had specifically about NetHelp, and I wanted to wait until now to answer it. The question on NetHelp was, someone was asking if there were any specific requirements on the user's machine, the person that's viewing the NetHelp, if they needed to have anything specific installed to view NetHelp. And the answer is no, you don't need to have anything special installed. NetHelp renders in a browser, and it works with every browser that's out there. It works with Internet Explorer. I believe Internet Explorer 7 through 10. It works with pretty much all versions of Firefox. It works with Chrome and Safari. So there's no specific software or no specific viewer that somebody needs to install in order to view NetHelp on their computer. Okay, so now DocToHelp is breaking everything down into individual topics. It's cataloging everything for search, and it's creating the skin around my content. So it's creating this NetHelp skin for me, and it's formatting everything, adding everything to the search file, so that I can search for whatever information I'm looking for. So as soon as this builds, I'm actually just going to publish it straight to SharePoint. I'm going to create a document library in SharePoint and just publish it to that library. And DocToHelp lets you do that through a wizard. But you can also just view it locally. So if I just publish it to SharePoint, I can either upload it to a document library or upload it to a SharePoint wiki page. But I'll just upload it to a SharePoint library. Okay, so now it's copying all these files for me, deploying everything to SharePoint, and then as soon as everything's deployed to SharePoint, then we'll be able to view this in its own document library in SharePoint. And again, we could have just viewed this locally. When I build it the next time, we'll just view it locally. We won't deploy it to a document library. I just kind of wanted to show the way that you could round trip it. You could start out with your documents in a SharePoint library, so static documents or static web pages, whatever you have. You bring those into DocToHelp, build it, create it in NetHelp, and then publish it direct back to SharePoint and just send somebody a link. Okay, so here's one of my glossary terms, the ABC company term. So if I click on that, ABC company comes up. The definition for that comes up. If I go into About This Handbook, we've got our employee term. Employee, someone who works for the company. That's the term that I added to the glossary. And we've also got ASAP, as soon as possible, and STQ, super totally quick. So NetHelp created all those links for me. And so I think I had a question about whether or not you need to create the glossary of terms, if it makes sense to do that for online help, to create the glossary of terms as a separate document. The glossary definitely needs to be its own document. It needs to be in its own separate document, because you need to be able to right-click it and flag it as a glossary document, specifically so that it'll include this functionality. Okay, but just going back to the handbook. I can search for any term that I want to search for, and actually we do have a question in the gallery wondering where the index is. And actually, the index is one of the customizations that you can do and one of the things that you can create. Okay, so I can search for any term that I want to search for, any word that I want to search for, and that'll automatically be highlighted as soon as I search for it. I can search for a phrase. So it supports phrasal search, and it also supports fuzzy search. So if I misspell something, it'll ask me, did I mean handbook? And I click yes. And then handbook is automatically highlighted for me. Okay, so it creates this table of contents for me. Creates the breadcrumbs link, so I can always go back to a previous topic. And then it also creates these more links for me. So that I can always see how I got there, where I am, and if there are any more links, where I can go from there. So Doc2Help slots those in for me automatically and automatically creates the links. Okay, so it adds all these toolbars and buttons. It adds in this header for me. And as I had mentioned in the PowerPoint, everything that's in here, everything that you can see, you can change. Okay, so we can take a look back in here. So one of the things that you can do is you can also create an index. And so we had a question about an index. Doc2Help can build an index for you automatically. If you go to the Project tab, you go to Auto Index, all you need to do is check Conceptual, Contents, and Procedural. Because when Doc2Help goes through and it reads all the heading styles, it assigns a specific type to each topic. And the three most common types of topics that it assigns are Conceptual, Contents, and Procedural. So if I take a look at my topic list, and I look at my topic types, you see Contents, Conceptual, and Procedural come up. Okay, so what that's telling Doc2Help is that anytime it makes a topic, once it creates the zero tolerance topic, it assigns the conceptual topic type to it. So it'll create a zero tolerance keyword, and it'll assign the zero tolerance topic to the zero tolerance keyword. The other thing that you can do is you can create a keyword right in Doc2Help. And then just drag and drop topics. As needed. And you can also use the keyword button that we saw in the Doc2Help toolbar to associate keywords as well. So if I highlight this, click the keyword button, then the welcome topic is automatically going to be associated with the manual keyword. And we also have a general question about search. And actually, that's something that you can set up. You can set up certain search features in it, and that's something that, that I have on the list to talk about. But so actually, I'm just going to build the manual output. I think this might be building NetHelp again. I think I might have chosen that and clicked rebuild, and it kicked off that build before I could change it to manual and build that. Okay, so it did create the employee handbook for me eventually. I apologize for that. I think I just chose the wrong target a couple of times. Okay, so but it's got my title for my employee handbook. It's got a placeholder where you can put your company logo. It inserts a table of contents for you at the beginning, and an index for you at the end. So my index here is set up. I've got my manual, keyword, and benefits, bonus pool, all of these keywords have been created and set up and included into the index. One of the things that I noticed as soon as I built this, though, and I noticed this when I built the NetHelp, so we've got this form here that says that you agree that this is a drug-free workplace. You read the drug-free workplace policy, and you agree by signing and dating this to drug-free workplace. Okay, so that would make a lot more sense if it was a manual that was printed up, or if these were forms that you specifically wanted to print up to show up in a manual. But it doesn't make as much sense in online help. So if you're trying to create your web content, if you want to create your NetHelp, then it doesn't make too much sense for you to have different items that you can sign. So what I can do is I can use conditional text to make sure that these forms get included when I build the manual, but that the forms that you would print up and sign don't get included when I build the web content. So if I go to the drug-free workplace policy, I just sort of grab all of this content. So all of this content are things that you would need to sign and date. I highlight all of that, and then I click on the conditional text button. then all I would need to do is assign the printed manual condition to it. Okay, and so the thing to remember about conditional text is that it's a condition of inclusion, not exclusion. So whatever output you want this content to be included in, you would want to apply that condition to it. And so since it's included in that one topic, then it's excluded from all other, since it's included in that one output, then it's excluded from all other outputs. I want this to be included in the manual and excluded from all other outputs, so I tag it with the manual condition. As soon as I tag it with the manual condition, comment shows up here, and then all of this text is highlighted in purple. One other thing that you can do in order to mark things up is I showed the collapsible section button before. Got a lot of information in the retirement plan 401k topic. So if I wanted to split this up so this was expanding and collapsing sections, like a little section where I could click a little plus sign and see more information on eligibility, then all I would need to do is just use this collapsible section button. DocHelp sets it up for me automatically, so I just highlight the text, click OK, and DocHelp takes care of the formatting for me. Then all that content is marked up for me, so that when I build it as NetHelp, because we applied the condition, is that when I build it as NetHelp, all the forms that you're supposed to print up and sign won't be included. And then all this information in the 401k topic will be expanding and collapsing information. I have a question of, is there a keyboard shortcut for collapsible sections? There is, and I know that there's a list of keyboard shortcuts in the documentation. I just don't know what that keyboard shortcut is. So if you search the documentation for keyboard shortcut, or just, I think even shortcut, you should be able to find all the keyboard shortcuts for the commands in the DocHelp toolbar. Okay, so if I select NetHelp as my target again, there's a few customizations. Those are the few customizations, and you can do more, but those are the kind of the most common ones. Those are the customizations and things that you can adjust in the document itself, but there are a bunch of things that you can do in DocHelp as well, specifically in the Help Targets dialog box and in the theme designer for NetHelp. If I click the Help Targets dialog box launcher to launch this dialog box, first thing that I can do is that if I select my manual, I can generate a PDF every time I build the manual if I just check this Generate PDF Target checkbox. So that's one quick and easy custom thing that you can do just in this Help Targets dialog box. If I select NetHelp, there's a lot of other options that I have. Okay, so the first is caption. If I want to, I can change this to whatever I want to. By default, it's the name of the project. So maybe I'll not make it something like that. I'll say something like a specific question about intelligent search. Can it handle concept searching? If I put in learn, can it return training? Okay, so there's a search synonym list that you can create. And basically what you would need to do is you would just need to create a text file in Notepad. You would just put whatever word you want to search for. Like say I want 401k to be a synonym with 503b. I think that's another type of retirement fund. If I search for retirement, if I search for pension, I want anything that has 401k in it to come up when I search for that. So if I have training, then I can create synonyms for training as well. And you can create synonyms for whatever you want to create synonyms for. Those are the first two that I thought of as far as setting up a special search list. I'm just going to put this generally in my projects folder, right? So that I can reuse this across projects, because basically all you need to do is just, I mean, if you have several similar projects for several similar types of employees, then you can reuse this search synonym list on any targets that you want to reuse it on and any projects that you want to reuse it with. So I'm just going to select my synonym list in NetHelp, and I can also select my synonym list in mobile, because NetHelp and mobile are both R outputs. So both of those have that synonym search functionality. Okay, and then additional customizations for NetHelp, I can actually just create a new theme. Actually, I created a new theme yesterday. That's got some different settings and some different things that I can change. So I can just show you that theme. Okay, so if I click on this toolbar, then I can click on the wrench and add or remove buttons. Edit my toolbar button, so I can always remove the created with Doc to Help logo. I had clicked on this before. You can see actually now it says Welcome to ABC Company instead of Employee Handbook in the header. That's one of the things that I changed in the caption. So one of the other things that I did is that I added the Doc to Help logo before, and I changed the height of the header so that it was 80 instead of 40. And another thing that I can do is I can choose from this style sheet list to change the color scheme that's associated with the NetHelp. So if I choose Redmond, this is actually a color scheme that I like a lot more than sort of changes the look and feel of it. It changes the skin of it quite a bit. So these are all the different style sheets that I can choose from. So I'd recommend just kind of taking a look at all of the different options that you have in here. And picking the one that kind of gets closest to the color scheme, the branding of your company. And then obviously you can just click on this logo button here to upload your logo and include it in your theme. So I'm going to build NetHelp just real quick here so we can see some of the changes that we made and some of the things that we did. So now it's going to add this new skin, this new theme. All my core content will be the same, except for the fact that the signable forms won't be included. and everything that's set up for search, I'll be able to search for those different terms instead of just searching for training. Okay, so my net health target has been built, and so I'm just going to be able to see all the changes that I made. As you can see here, the index tab has been added. And one of the things that I forgot to mention is that I changed the logo button for these more links. It used to be sort of a swoosh, and now it's a plus sign. So we can see here that all these items are added to the index. And if we look here, there's missing from the table of contents. If I look at what I built before, all of these items in capital letters, all caps, are now missing from the table of contents in NetHealth. Okay, so the color scheme is different, the caption is different. It says "Welcome to ABC Company," and in the header we also have the logo. And then if I search for pension, my retirement plan 401k topic comes up. So it highlights retirement, which is one of the synonyms that I chose, and it highlighted 401k as well, even though I searched for pension. Okay, and then all of my expanding and collapsing sections are set up. So I can expand them all, collapse them all, or look at them one by one. And as we can see here, the glossary terms, the pop-ups that the glossary terms show up in, look a lot different than they did in the other version of this output. Okay, and I also just wanted to show everybody what the mobile output looks like. Since this computer that I'm working on, the reason that I'm working on this computer is that it has a touch screen. So we're going to be able to see some of the touch screen functionality that the mobile output has. If you have somebody that does need to view a training manual or somebody that needs to view any content at all on a device that has a touchscreen interface, then the mobile output is going to come in handy for you, because it's optimized so that it displays a lot cleaner on a device, and then it also supports a lot of the touchscreen functionality as far as tapping and swiping. And the interface is set up so that it's easier to navigate if you just have one screen and you don't have a mouse and you don't have two monitors that you can move stuff back and forth between. So I prefer to look at this, the screen minimized a little bit. So I'm going to move the mouse over so that it's by the glossary document. Start using the touchscreen functionality. So if I tap on this, glossary information. This glossary link, it shows up. Start going to previous and next. The search functionality works the same here. In the expanding and collapsing sections. And my other synonym that was in there, I searched for the word learn, and training came up for me. And it also supports swiping. It's got these previous and next buttons as well to help you navigate. You can always tap on the content button to go home. Swiping back and forth doesn't always work. Not on the screen. There we go. Okay, so that's just a general overview of a sample workflow. Something that you can do if you have some existing content in your employee manuals. If you're starting from scratch with your content, you can just start up a new project and work with a Word document or HTML5 file in DocHelp's built-in editor, DocHelp's content editor. So that first output that we built, that first NetHelp output, there were a lot of customers that get to this point and then they consider themselves to be done. That's it. You know, they like what they see, they like the breadcrumb functionality, they like the more links, they like everything that DocHelp adds to the output and creates as far as a web presence. They like everything about that, and from there they're done. But as we saw today, there's a lot of sort of quick and easy things that you can do in order to customize your outputs to make them more effective, to make it easier for your employees, your end users, to discover the information that they're looking for. But it all has the same basic premise that you're taking the stuff that you have, managing it in DocHelp, and using that to transform it into the stuff that you need. And as we saw, the impact on the document itself, your source content, your core content, is low. Because we made all the changes that we made, we did all the different things that we did, all the customization options that we did, without doing much formatting, and pretty much barely even touching the content in the document itself. And if I was a subject matter expert in SharePoint and I wanted to go back into the employee manual, especially if I had hidden text turned off. Some of the DocHelp functionality, I have hidden text turned off on this. If I had hidden text turned off, this would ostensibly look like the same document. Even the 401k section, looks basically the same. So the impact of DocHelp on my documents is very low. It's still saved as a .doc format. I can still open it up in Word. I can still view everything in Word. And then any special features or functionality that I want to add, any interactivity that I want to add to the document, including any glossary terms, I can add those just using the DocHelp toolbar. So you can create a lot of dynamic, searchable, customizable outputs that look great, that look like you spent hours creating them and putting them together, quickly and easily and deploy them quickly and easily, and either be able to get back to work or get back to refining the content so that it's as clear and concise as possible. So that's what we try to do, is we try to minimize that impact on you and make it as easy as possible for you to make it as easy as possible for your constituents to find the answer that they're looking for.